Hello everyone. So today we'll start a new unit. That's Unit 6, and the title of the unit, as you can see, is Personal Protective Equipment. The short form is PPE. That's what people use usually. PPE, that's Personal Protective Equipment. So we'll start with Lesson 1. Today is April the 5th. So by the end of this unit, you should be able to recognize and pronounce correctly 6 body parts, which we'll see later, of course. Body parts, parts of your body. You should be able also to recognize and pronounce correctly 9 PPE items. And the last objective of this lesson is to ask and answer questions about 9 PPE items that we'll study in this lesson. So let's start. Personal protective equipment. That's the short form is PPE, as I mentioned earlier. So let's start with trying to know first of all what's PPE. So what's the function of PPE? Are you protected? So these items here, they are for your protection at the workplace. We'll see them, we'll learn about them later on one by one. You can see that we have items for head protection. We have another item for foot protection. That's called, what is it called? Yeah, we call them safety shoes. We have also these two for hand protection. They protect your hand, and we call them safety gloves, and so on. We have other ones. We'll see all of them later on in this lesson. So let's start with the picture that you see there. Snapshot. So first of all, the lesson. Today's lesson is about, the whole unit is about PPE. But in today's lesson, we'll focus more on PPE at work site, that is at the workplace. So you have the picture of that man there. What do you see in the picture? What type of injuries does this person have? So of course he has some injuries, but what type of injuries? How can you describe those injuries? And then question number 3, why do you think this person got injured? What's the reason? What was wrong? And then the last question here is, how could he protect himself from injuries? So I'll give you a few minutes to answer the questions, and then we'll get back to each other and discuss them together. So, for the first question, what do you see in the picture? Yes, obviously you see a man lying on a bed, and almost his entire body is covered with plaster bandages. So you see almost his entire body is covered with plaster. So then, what type of injuries does this person have? Is his situation dangerous? Yes, it's very dangerous. So the injuries that he has are actually serious injuries, very serious injuries, or severe injuries. You see, he can't move. He has to lie down there on that bed until he recovers. Question number 3. Why do you think this person got injured? So there are a couple of reasons for that, but the main reason, I think, it can be that most likely he had an accident. So and why did he have? How could he protect himself from injuries? Most likely that man had an accident. And most likely he did not wear his PPE. That's why he got those serious injuries. So how could he protect himself? One way of protecting ourselves from injuries at the workplace is by wearing PPE. So PPE is very, very important. It protects us, protects our body from different types of accidents, but minimizes also the type of injuries that we can have from an accident. Let's move on to the next activity, which is a reading activity. So we have here a reading, and we'll do the reading and then we'll move to the exercise. So what's the function of PPE? What's the job of PPE? PPE protects the worker against health and safety risks in the workplace. It includes, so all of these items, we have 8. All of these are part of PPE. They are all different parts or different items of PPE, and they protect different body parts. So let's start with the first one. So the first one is head protection. What does this mean? It means, yes, it protects your head. For example, if you have falling objects from above, then it doesn't hurt your head because you have, what do you use in that case? It's called, of course, safety helmet. So the safety helmet will protect you from falling objects, so they won't hurt your head. Number 2 is eye protection. Eye protection. So eye protection, what does this mean? It means it's something or an item that protects your eye. So what is it exactly? Which item or what items protect your eyes? What do we call them? We'll see that later on. Okay, let's move on now to number 3, ear and hearing protection. So obviously this is to protect your ear or to protect your hearing, your ability to hear. Okay, because why should you protect, why should you have hearing protection or ear protection? Because what's the problem? It comes from the noise. If you have high level noise, very loud noise, then it can affect your hearing. So it's a problem because with time, if you work always at a workplace where you have a high level noise, then what's the effect? The effect is that it will later on it will lead to result in hearing loss. Okay, so you will not be able to hear, or you will have your hearing will be affected, so you will not be able to hear very well because of that noise. So you need to protect your ears as well when you are at the workplace, especially if there's a lot of noise. Number 4, respirators or masks. So what do they protect? Respirators, it's taken from what? It means it has to do with breathing. So when you breathe, you should breathe clean air, should not breathe contaminated air, polluted air, so that it doesn't affect your lungs. We'll see that in later on, as I said, when we talk about the item itself. So the mask also protects you. Number 5 is high visibility clothing. So these clothing, why do they have high visibility? High visibility means you can see them very clearly. Okay, because mainly because of the color. So the color is very bright, so you can see them from a distance. These people who work outdoors, they should wear high visibility clothing, especially on roads, so that the drivers of cars and other vehicles can see them easily, and they will not have an accident. Okay, and then safety harness. This is we'll see the picture later on. So this is for when do we wear safety harness? Actually, we wear it when we work at heights. So this protects you from falling from heights. Even if you fall, then the safety harness will keep you suspended. You will not fall to the ground. So it protects you from falling from especially heights if you work at heights. The number 7 is hand protection. Of course, it protects your hand, and we'll see what item later on. And then the last one is foot protection. It protects your foot, okay, from different types of accidents, and we'll see the name of the item that protects your foot. So now that we went through all the different types of PPE and what each one of them protects, what part of the body, head, eye, ear, and then we have here respiratory system, and we have hand protection and foot protection. So now we have gone through all of them. What we need to do is we need to do an exercise. So let's move to the next page. The next page here, this tells us about body parts. Okay, the different body parts and their names. So what I want you to do is to match each body part with the correct picture. Okay, so we have first of all head, then we have hand, we have ear, and then we have respiratory system, we have eye, and the last one is foot. So I'll give you a few minutes. I want you to match the words with the pictures. Okay, so let's answer the question. Let's start with number 1, head. What picture is it for? It's for this picture, of course. So that's for head. And then the next one is hand. So hand is for this picture here. That's a hand. Then we have number 3 is ear. Ear, yes, it's the first picture. That's an ear. And we have respiratory system. It's a system for breathing. When you breathe air, there's a whole system inside your body. The main part of the system are the lungs, the 2 lungs. Everyone has 2 lungs. We need them for breathing. So that's picture number 2. Respiratory system is picture number 2. So we should write 4 here. And the last, the one before the last actually, that's eye. Eye is picture number 3. This is an eye. So that's number 5 here. And then the last one now is foot. So that's the last picture. 6 is the last picture. That's foot. That's a foot. What's the plural of foot, by the way? So we have 1 foot and 2. Yes, it's irregular. It's feet. So the plural is feet. So we finished with this exercise. We'll move on to the next one later on.